workforce is basically referred to as progressive discipline process. So if you're in school, first it ends up being like a classroom notification, then it might be in-house, then it might be a suspension, and then it might be a total, you getting kicked out of the school and you can't come back. And the same thing with the job. It's a written versus a verbal, verbal, written, and then you move on to you don't have a job anymore. So the context of use in the workplace, we were thinking the same thing. Okay, great. That's awesome. So tree fruit. Workplace. A reprimand might be issued for tardiness, unprofessional conduct, failure to meet deadlines, or policy violations. In the workplace, it could be issued for tardiness, unprofessional conduct, failure to meet deadlines, or policy violations. And the first example that came to my mind is people showing up a minute late. And I think I've said this before, but the reason why, if you're ever in a challenge and you're over a minute late with it, it came from Frito-Lay, because 1 minute to 3 hours and 59 minutes was half a point. So a minute late still means that you are late. That's the first thing I thought about. Unprofessional conduct could mean that you're saying things that go against the policies and procedures, employee handbook in that organization. And failure to meet deadlines means that you keep turning information in if you're in management late, or policy violation. So you're not adhering to the employee handbook in some way. The next one is education. So in education, teachers or school administrators may reprimand students for disruptive behavior, cheating, or violating school rules. So it's behind the scenes. And when Nola was in homeschool, there were a couple people in her English class that decided to cheat on the assignment. And so the English teacher, they were dealt with, and then the English teacher changed the whole prompt so that they couldn't. So this was early pre-chat GPT, where people were still trying to cheat the system. Makes no sense, but it is what it is. The next one, which I will address now as I did at the beginning, is legal or military. So in the legal or the military, it can be a formal sanction for misconduct. In the military, general letter of reprimand, Article 15 or Article 31. And then if it's legal in the civilian sector, it's an attorney can give you, so it could be a breach of protocol, a cease and desist. You get served papers because you're getting ready to get a divorce and things like that. And I'll wait because it's going to come back up again for the military. The next one is personal settings. And so this is parents or guardians. They might reprimand for misbehaviors in the youth. And that's what I said with Nola, is it was calibration. Punishments don't work. The whole word of punishment is negative, and people are like, I'm being punished. And now they're sitting there ready to seek revenge. But when you say you veered off course, let's get you back on course to change the behavior or change the performance. And then the final one, which I added myself, is personal accountability. So real leaders holding themselves and others personally accountable for not using the 74 principles of real leadership. So Nola and I recently had an interaction, and I was telling her that she was not communicating effectively. She was telling me that she was. Once all of the energy was away, the feelings, we got down to the root cause of what was stopping her from communicating effectively, and we were able to move forward. So once you are the beautiful thing about the 74 principles of real leadership, when everybody agrees to follow them, is that now you can just hold people personally accountable. If you're talking to someone and they're not listening to you, you can say, excuse me, one of the 74 principles of real leadership is to listen. And right now I'm attempting to communicate effectively with you and you're not listening to me. Look people in their eyes when you're talking to them is another principle of real leadership. I know some cultures that's not no bueno, but the country that I live in, it's bueno. And so now you can say you're not keeping eye contact with me. It gives you the foundation, and it's the language of adulthood. Now everybody can have and understand that we are all speaking the same language, and it's personal accountability. And so when people are not using the 74 principles of real leadership, they've done something and they haven't apologized and they're wrong, say, hey, one of the 74 principles of real leadership is to apologize when you were wrong, and you didn't apologize. Hold others accountable to those 74 principles of real leadership, because that's one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So in all this, when you are following the 74 principles of real leadership, guess what it makes simpler to do? Reprimand privately. It allows you the ability to reprimand people because you're just addressing the performance or the behavior. And in this instance, the principles of real leadership are behaviors that tell you what to do. And if you do the opposite of them, that means that you're being personally unaccountable. What questions do you have about the context or use